Welcome to another episode in our Types of Play BDSM United podcast series. One of the most confusing parts of this lifestyle for many people is the toys that we use. A person may look at some of the toys and think to themselves, does someone actually enjoy that? For others, the idea is extremely exciting and they can't wait to try it. Now, wax is one of the most common forms of kinky sexual activity. Many people who consider themselves outside of any kinky lifestyles, they also indulge in wax play. We're going to talk about some of the tips for safety when playing with wax. Though it's very popular, it's also how a lot of people get hurt. With wax play, you're essentially playing with fire. I am Primal Piggy. You can find me on Facebook at The Primal Piggy, all one word. You can also find me at Whips, Chains, and Duct Tape at WCDT BDSM, also on Facebook. And we just updated our webpage, www.bdsmunited.com. Today we're talking about wax play. There's my candle right here. Always use paraffin wax. It melts at lower temperatures than other waxes. Paraffin wax is used in most standard candles sold in just about any store. It's those white safety candles that you see in stores made of paraffin. Also, some of those like religious, idol looking candles are really inexpensive. If you don't mind having like a religious looking figure on the outside, perhaps you're into that. This wax can also be bought in crafting and hobby shops in small blocks made for melting. As with other BDSM tools and toys, it's our recommendation that you avoid homemade or DIY things, especially when you're new. It's so easy today to get the right candles from an adult retailer, and they really don't cost a lot of money either. Remember that one candle often lasts for several play sessions. So, even though one candle may be something like $5 or $6, you're going to be able to use it for a lot of different wax play sessions. Now, never use beeswax. It melts far too hot. It's a good idea not to use colored candles, especially not the metallic ones. Candles that are metallic in color many times contain shards of the actual metals, which can cause them to melt at a much higher temperature and even have some areas of higher temperature and somewhat lower uh, within the when the wax drips. Scented candles are also to be avoided. They often also melt at higher temperatures as well. Now, wax, it can burn the skin and it can lead to permanent scarring. Also, test it on the back of your hand before you apply it to your partner. Let me repeat that. Always test it on the back of your own hand before you apply it to your partner. Hold the candle approximately 8 to 12 inches from your partner and slowly dribble the wax onto the flesh. You can adjust the temperature of the wax by increasing or decreasing the distance between the candle itself and the skin. The further the wax must fall before hitting the skin, the cooler it'll be upon contact. It's a good idea to apply something like massage oil to the skin that you're going to also apply wax to. Don't use baby oil though, as it'll heat up and it could possibly burn the skin. Oil and fire, not necessarily a really good idea. This layer of oil on the skin helps make removing the wax a lot easier, especially if the area has a lot of hair. I would personally use something like a lotion rather than an oil. Oil and fire, like I said, not really my idea of a really great time. Um, Also, you may wish to shave the area first to prevent ripping out the hair when you remove the wax, unless, of course, this is a desired effect. Another good idea is to use some cling wrap in the area of the skin before applying the wax. Plastic wrap. Um, the wrap will allow a lot of the sensation to pass through, but it'll make cleanup easier and it'll reduce the temperature from that of direct contact on the skin. cling wrap can make uh, for adding some bondage as well to the scene. Be sure you have scissors on hand for when it's time to remove the film, or if you need to do it quickly during the scene for any reason. Sometimes people like the idea of bondage, but then don't like the bondage themselves. As a general rule, don't apply wax to the face or the genitals. Just as a general rule, it's too easy to burn these areas, and burns in these areas can be really traumatic. Remove removing the removing the wax can be accomplished with a plastic scraper, your fingernail, or a dull knife. To make the sensation a bit more intense, perhaps chill the knife. We recommend a butter knife, which is dull and can't really cut the skin, for those who don't want the risk of a sharp blade, yet want the sensation of metal against their skin. If you chill the knife, be sure it's wet before applying it to the skin to prevent it from sticking. Ice applied to the wax drops will ease the removal as well as provide a nice opposite sensation from the wax. Something like a drop cloth is a really good idea to use beneath the submissive to catch any drops of wax that miss the intended target. A fabric or a plastic shower curtain also makes a good drop cloth, as the wax cleans up really easily. Be sure to remove all the wax from the drop cloth before laundering it in your washing machine. Wax will clog and therefore break the washer. If you get wax on the carpet, a warm iron through a towel or wax paper will often lift the wax out of the carpet. Be careful of using dark wax on carpets, as it may stain. uh Wax is one of those scenes that's a lot messier than you think it's going to be. Even when you think that you're going to be able to control where the wax goes, it often splashes, and it's one of the messiest kinds of play. So if you don't like messy, wax play may not be for you. Safety items you want to have on hand anytime you're playing with fire. A fire extinguisher is really good. What if the candle itself falls or somehow ignites something nearby? You also want to have a phone nearby to call for emergency if you need it. A steady table to set the candle on, preferably in a holder while not in use. Ice and cold water to quickly bring down the temperature of the skin should a too hot application of wax mistakenly be applied. Towels to wipe up the water. Aloe or other burn cream to soothe the skin in case of a burn. Also, remember to check for allergies when using any kinds of lotions or oils or creams or any of those things. Bandages are also a good idea just to have on hand, just in case as well. A few fun things to try: melt the paraffin wax in a small fondue pot or a potpourri pot. Add a Crayola crayon to the pot, just one. This will add some color to the wax. Be aware that heavily colored wax can stain the skin for a few days. When you have a sufficient amount of melted wax in the colors you desire, use a paintbrush to apply it to your partner in patterns. These pots should have an adjustable temperature gauge, and the wax should be melted on low. Again, test the temperature of the wax on your hand first, on the back of your hand. Alternate drops of wax with the touch of ice on the skin. The opposite sensations can produce some really highly desirable results. Again, I'm Primal Piggy. You can find me on Facebook at The Primal Piggy, all one word. You can find us on Facebook at Whips, Chains, and Duct Tape, at WCDT BDSM. You can also find us on our new updated website, www.bdsmunited.com. If you're listening on your favorite platform, please leave us a review, a like, subscribe. Any way that you can connect with us and that others can also connect with this educational podcast. Thank you for listening today. Be sure to check the podcasts in the archive. This wraps up our series on types of play, but go back and listen to some of the others in the series. There, you'll find them really educational and hopefully entertaining and knowledgeable as well. Thank you again for listening.